Today's health nugget uh, topic is diet and cancer. This is part 2. There are two kinds of food. One kind is the cancer promoting foods such as fat and meat. On the other hand, there is a cancer preventing foods such as vegetables, fruits, nuts, and herbs. And I'll give you detailed information both on fat and meat, and also separate slides on the vegetable, fruits, nuts, and herbs. This is the slide which illustrates one point. That is, as your meat intake or meat consumption increase on this slide on x-axis, look at this one. The colon cancer incidence also increase. So this is where the Japan and this is where the USA. The main point of this slide is as the daily meat consumption increases, colon cancer incidence also increase. So there is a positive correlation between meat consumption and colon cancer incidence. This slide has one point. On the x-axis, this is the total fat consumption, and this is the age-adjusted death rate. Look at this one. As the total fat intake increase, what happened? As the age-adjusted death rate also increase, and then this is where this goes straight up, and this is where the Japan is, and then this is where the USA, right here. So main point of this slide is as the total fat intake increases on the x-axis, and the age-adjusted death rate increases on the y-axis. So once you know the risk factors for colon cancer, such as fat, meat, obesity, and less physical activity, meaning sedentary lifestyle, next constipation, then what is the solution? Risk factor is the fat, and the solution is eat less meat, not more fat. Okay? Correction. If the fat is the risk factor for colon cancer, solution is eat less fat, not more fat. If the risk factor for colon cancer is the meat, then solution is eat less meat, not more meat. A risk factor for colon cancer is obesity. What is the solution? Go outside and exercise. Reduce weight by diet and exercise. Less physical activity, meaning a sedentary lifestyle, is the risk factor for colon cancer. Solution is go outside and walk for 30 minutes at 9:30 a.m. every day when the weather is good. A risk factor for colon cancer is the constipation. What's the solution? Drink 6 to 8 glasses of water between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. and then eat fiber-rich food such as dark leafy green vegetable. And I'll give you more information on this point. So this is the slide that I'm sharing with the humidity. I'm originally from Okinawa, Japan, and I was born and raised. So I know Japanese and also Asian culture. In 1945, 1955, there's nothing to eat. Japan was devastated after the World War II, and there's nothing to eat. And colon cancer incidence and breast cancer was almost zero. There was almost unheard of. People did not know what the colon cancer looked like, and the people did not know what the breast cancer looked like. 1945, 1955. As Japan became more industrious and then more civilized, and then there's more food to eat, 1985, what happened? The breast cancer incidence increased, and also colon cancer incidence increased. The researcher of this study asked one important question. What is going on behind the scene? And as they discovered that the total fat intake increased between 1945, 1955, and 1985. There's a dramatic change in the Japanese people's lifestyle and diet. The consequence was very obvious. Colon cancer incidence increased and the breast cancer incidence increased. Next slide, I'm going to show you this. This is the people in 1945, shortly after the World War II. And the people in Japan, there is not much food to eat. So people are very small and thin. And there is no colon cancer, there is no breast cancer. This is, okay. This is Japan now. This is Japanese saying the McDonald's hamburger. And this is what happened. What do you see here? This is the meat. What do you see here? This is the cheese. This is these are milk products. As the Japanese people's or Asian cultures changed from traditional vegetarian or the food and the rice diet into a more westernized diet, cheese here and also meat. And as a consequence, colon cancer incidence increased and breast cancer incidence all increased. Let's look at this slide. Animal fat and the relative risk for cancer risk. Relative risk for cancer is 1.89, just a little below 2. Meat consumption, meaning beef, pork chop, and lamb, the relative risk for cancer is 2.49, almost 2.5. As a total intake increase, this is definitely a positive correlation. There is a colon cancer death rate increase. So there is a total fat intake and colon cancer, there is a positive correlation. And let's look at another entity. As a daily meat consumption increases and the colon cancer incidence increase, so there is a definite meat consumption, there is a positive correlation between meat consumption and colon cancer incidence. So total fat intake and breast cancer. There is a positive correlation between fat intake and also breast cancer incidence and death. Next, I'm a gastroenterologist by training, and so I'd like to, I have a more slide on constipation, colon cancer. This guy has a good time or hard time. He's having a very hard time to have a bowel movement. So he had, this is constipation. He's perspiring, sweating, and then straining. Okay. So this is a picture, endoscopic picture of the colon. Now we're going to the rectum, and then now you see the lesion here. And as you go through, you see the blood oozing and go further, and then there is a cancer of the rectum. This is the example of a colonoscopic and polypectomy. There is 2 polyps in the view, and then you advance the snare, we call colon snare, right into the operative field, and you grab just below the head of the polyp. So you put the snare right below the neck of the polyp, and then you squeeze, and as you squeeze, okay, and then you hit the foot pedal. This is to let the electricity, you can see the whitening. This is coagulating the neck of the polyp, and soon it will be cut. And you see the little smoke, now it's already cut. Then there is one more polyp side by side, so you do the same technique. You advance the snare into the operating field, and you grab and go right below the neck of the polyp, and you grab it. You hold it, and you lift it up right in the middle of the lumen, not to burn the other side of the colon. And then you hold it right in the middle as much as possible. You hit the foot pedal, and then you burn. And then as you burn, you see the whitening right here, and then there's a little smoke. That's the signs of coagulation. And then in a split second, and then it will be it will be separated. Okay, now it's separated. So this is how the colonoscopic polypectomy is done. In this picture, I want to pay attention. You see, this is the colon cancer situation. The colon is already cut open. Let's look at this one. This is the lesion. This is the colon cancer. Okay, but pay attention to this one. What do you see? This is the colon polyp. So this is a good way of illustrating colon polyp is the precursor to the development of colon cancer. So most of the gastroenterologists in this day of age, when they see colon polyp, they remove it. Why? Because by removing colon polyp, you prevent the future development of colon cancer like this. Now, there's an important message in this slide. Pay attention to the stool weight, the weight of the stool. As you increase the fiber, what is the fiber? Dark leafy green vegetables such as spinach is dark green, and cauliflowers and colored green, mustard green, cabbage, and also broccoli. So those dark leafy green vegetables contain lots of fiber. As the fiber in diet increases on the x-axis, what will happen to the weight of the stool? The weight of the stool goes up. So as the fiber intake, fiber in the diet increases, stool weight goes up. Now, this is very important. Next slide. Okay, next slide. Watch this one. As the stool weight increase, okay, on the x-axis, what will happen to the colon cancer? Colon cancer incidence decrease. Another way of saying the same events is as the stool weight decrease, in other words, you don't go to the bathroom as much as possible, then what would happen? The colon cancer incidence is very high. So what is the main point, take-home message from this slide? As you eat more fiber in your diet and your stool weight increase, as the stool weight increase, the colon cancer decrease. That's the point. That's the main point. Another way of saying that in a different way, if you don't eat enough fiber in your diet, your stool weight become less here, and then what would happen? Colon cancer incidence increase. Okay, so that's the main take-home message. Okay, so let's go to that. This is the colonoscopic picture of colon cancer. Okay? This is what the colon cancer looks like when you put a colonoscope into the large intestine. Now, this is a very important slide. What is the mechanism of cancer formation, and then how does the high-fat diet influence colon cancer? So let's go through this slide. High-fat diet produces a bile acid, and the fat stimulates the gallbladder. The gallbladder contains a lot of bile coming from the liver, and bile acid is secreted into the duodenum, the small intestine. As the fecal bile acid excretion increase, and then because of the high-fat diet, your fecal, meaning stool, fecal fatty acid excretion increase. So when you have a combination of fecal bile acid going up and the fecal fatty acid excretion going up, this combination is bad for you. It's not good for you. It's bad for you. It's called DOC, deoxycholic acid production in the large intestine. This is a bad news. Why? Because DOC, deoxycholic acid, produce the more free radical. This is the real bad guys. The more free oxygen radical means the more bad guys. Then it will stimulate the cellular proliferation, meaning the growth on the epithelium on the surface of your colon, and then this stimulate or encourage the more colon polyp formation, and then I mentioned to you this theory: colon polyp, colon cancer sequence. If you have a colon polyp, larger the size of the polyp, and then longer the duration of the colon polyp inside of the colon, then the greater the chance of developing into colon cancer. So in summary, this is the mechanism of action. cancer formation. High-fat diet is positively associated with the colon cancer. Okay? So let's go to the next slide. So what is the mechanism? What is the mechanism of action? Meaning, what is the science behind how fiber protects you from cancer? So let's start from here. High fiber diet means you have more fiber in your diet, meaning eating the dark leafy green vegetable. What's the example? Cauliflower is dark green, cabbage is dark green, and collard green is dark green, good. And also broccoli is very good, and carrots. Okay, so these are the example of the high fiber diet. And then if you combine the low fat diet, okay, not high fat diet, a low fat diet, low meat means a low meat product, low fat and the low meat. But key is here, high fiber diet, more dark leafy green vegetable. If you remember my previous slide, high fiber diet produces what? Fecal weight goes up, okay, and your weight over stew become larger and heavier and heavier. This is very good for you. Why? High fecal weight, meaning you have constipation is down. You have less constipation because large amount of stew weight is moving through your intestine regularly, and then so that means you have a high fiber diet, produce fecal weight goes up. You have your stool become heavier and heavier. This is good, meaning you have a less constipation. This is the punchline. Meaning it's called fecal transit time. What is a fecal transit time? Simply means the time, the duration of the time it requires from the mouth to the anus. Okay, that's the transit time. That's called the fecal transit time. The time between from the mouth to the anus become shortened because the stool is moving very fast through your intestine, which means next important concept is called contact time concept. The contact time between the bad guys and also your intestine become less. In other words, contact time is shortened. The contact time. This is the good news, right? Because the interaction between the carcinogens, meaning cancer-producing material coming from the food, and colonic epithelium, meaning the surface of large intestine, those interactions become shortened. It's the good news. Why this is good news for you? Because bad guys, meaning bad guys which can cause cancer in your colon, okay, bad guys is already out of your colon. So they're out in the toilet. And even if they want to cause colon cancer, it doesn't affect you because they're already out of your colon. And they can, okay? So that's good. It's a bad guy is already out. As a consequence, the colon polyp formation is down. Okay? That's good news. Which means you have a colon cancer, colon cancer polyp formation is down, meaning you have a colon cancer is down because there is a relationship between more colon polyp you have, and the larger the size of the polyp, and the longer the duration of the polyp inside of the colon, the greater the colon cancer formation. Let me reverse the table. If you do not have a colon polyp formation because of a good lifestyle, that means colon cancer will not form because colon polyp, there is a colon cancer sequence. As a result, high fiber diet, what is the final bottom line benefit? You have a less colon cancer risk, okay, instance. So that's this is a short version of mechanism of action or the science behind how high fiber protects you from colon cancer formation. Right, so this is just a quick summary of what is the fecal transit time. As you eat the food, go through the mouth into the esophagus, esophagus into the stomach, stomach into the duodenum, duodenum into the jejunum, jejunum into the ileum, ileum and go into this ileocecal valve, and up into the cecum. Now from that goes up the ascending colon, make a sharp turn with this goes transverse colon, make another sharp turn down, this is a descending colon, this is called sigmoid colon. Now you make a 90-degree turn, your rectum, and go to the anus and go outside. So the contact time is the transit time. After you eat the food and they get out of the rectum, This trend, the shorter the fecal transit time, the better for you, because all the carcinogens from the food we eat has a less contact time with your intestine. As a result, as a consequence, they cause less damage to your intestinal mucosa, meaning you have a less chance of developing colon polyp and less chance of developing a colon cancer. So that's the meaning of the fecal transit time and contact time concept. So next, please wake up, and important slides are coming up. Okay. So I mentioned that there are two kinds of food. First, I discussed cancer-promoting foods such as fat and meat. This is the main area I concentrated. On the other hand, I also mentioned very briefly there are the cancer-preventing foods such as vegetable, fruits, nuts, and herbs. So I'm going to concentrate on this area next. There are the four main categories: vegetables, fruits, nuts, and herbs. Okay? So let's start with the vegetable. Remember the principle: dark, leafy, green vegetable. Repeat: dark, leafy, green vegetables. Example: broccoli is very good. Brussels sprouts, good. Cauliflowers and cabbage and broccoli, kale and carrots and lettuce, squash and spinach. They are dark green. Sweet potatoes, Swiss chard, and tomatoes and seaweed. Plankton, celeries, parsley, very good. Peas and soybeans and turnips. And okay, so this is just a brief list of the dark leafy green vegetable. So okay, next. The next category is the fruits. What are the examples of the fruits that I want you to eat? Apples, very good. Avocados and cantaloupes. Red grapes, if you eat the grapes, eat both skin and seed and crush the seed. Guava, kiwi, nectarines, raspberry, all the berries good. Blueberries, blackberry, raspberries, strawberries, all the berries very good. And then watermelons, very good. Apricots, figs, and the mangoes. So this is the example of the fruits. Next is the nuts. Peanuts and cashew nuts and almond nuts and walnuts. And almond nut is called is the king of nuts. Okay, the king of nuts. And the study done at Loma Linda University in California showed if you eat a handful, not whole bag of the fruit nuts, but only handful of mixed nuts, a mixture of peanut, cashew, almond, and walnut. If you eat a handful of nuts, mixed nuts, 3 times a week, you live longer. So, but don't eat only peanuts only, or cashew nuts only, the almond nuts only, the walnuts only. Because I have a patient who bought one big bag of peanuts and eats the peanuts only every day, and then he came to me with abdominal pain. So my advice is, don't eat only one kind of peanuts in a large quantity. Eat, this is the key point, eat handful, very small portion, handful of mixed nuts 3 times a week. And this is good for your longevity. And next category is the herbs. What are the examples? Garlic is very good. Ginger, ginseng, licorice, milk, thistle, rosemary, saffron, and sesame, cumin, curry powder, and turmeric. They are very good. Caraway, leeks, mushroom is very good. Onions, jalapeno pepper is very good. Peppers, and watercress. Okay, so this is the example of the herbs. So this is a very good slide for you to remember. What is a high antioxidant food? High antioxidant food. This is very good for your health. Example: cabbage is good. Broccoli, spinach, kale, citrus fruits, and all the berries: strawberry, blueberry, blackberry, raspberries, melons, mangoes, and sweet potatoes, tomatoes, very good, and corn, eggplant. And lettuce, avocados, and carrots, very good. I've already mentioned all the berries: blueberry, blackberry, raspberry, strawberry, all the berries, and cranberries, and red grapes, and garlic. Okay. Next slide, I'm showing the different picture of the garlic. so there is no mistake. There is a very famous saying, goes like this. You may lose one friend or two, but it will save your life. Garlic, if you eat the garlic, you may lose one friend or two friends because of the strong smell, but garlic will save your life. This is a very important punchline. Come, and let him who thirsts come, and whoever desires, let him take the water of life freely. Revelation 22:17. Announcement. Next topic is the rheumatoid arthritis, and it will be presented on Saturday, May 6, 2023 at 10:05 a.m. Central Standard Time. And then please let your friends, relatives, neighbors know about it. And thank you for your attention.